Taurus, this is your May 2025 soul story. If you have a sun, rising or moon in the sign, it's your reading. Thanks for joining me on the channel. It's Romy here and happy solar returns. Okay, we're going to open up for you this month with the energy of strength. I like May. I think that there is an unapologetic quality to it, but there's also a boldness. You have certainly grown wiser through this season, and I think this month there's something unapologetic about what it is that you are leaning into. Now, there are going to be so many aha moments for you in the course of this month. And I think one of the big things that I see unfolding is a necessity to step back from something or someone. And that is because of the progress or the way that something else is starting to open up. And I think, honestly, just a shift in your priorities and dedication in terms of like stabilizing your inner world so that your life can flourish in new ways is going to mean that there is something that you're going to have to be strong and resolute over. But I believe that you will. Now, on the 1st, we've got Venus and Neptune coming together, and there's a sensitivity that's felt around the energy of that. Now, sometimes it can lead to some sort of disappointments, and I feel it's more about you taking a stand and perhaps maybe feeling like you're going to disappoint some other people. But I think that's just part of the journey that needs to unfold through the month of May, right? We're also going to welcome Pluto stationing retrograde in Aquarius on the 4th. And what often comes to light during these cycles are those power struggles, some of the patterns. We're confronting things from the past, and there's definitely a personal invitation for you to do things differently and actually to do it in your way. And when you can come into that realization, 7 of Pentacles here, you know that the waves are not going to stop coming in the collective energy right now, but there's a conscious decision to not get sucked in and pulled in. You're feeling more awake than you ever have before, but you are also deeply taking stock of your life, okay, and the life choices that you've made. And yes, there may still be some lingering regret or some struggle to try to come to a place of acceptance over some of the things that have unfolded in this past season. But there's something incredibly stoic that you bring to the table in this solar returns season. And, the realization that so often, others' reaction is not your reflection, right? And, you're going to have opportunities. You're going to have opportunities to progress things. There are almost doors that I feel like you've been, for some reason, like hesitant or just holding yourself back from opening or even knocking on, right? And there's something quite audacious about how you move through May. It's just like almost a what have I got to lose, right? And that really serves you, because I think there is an incredibly driven and dynamic energy in May. Now, there's intensity for sure, but there's an innate understanding that we have to clear the way, which is going to mean that we have to do things that are continuing to move us outside of our comfort zone. That's not news, right? That's been, probably the lay of the land for some time. But I think you're also realizing, and this is important, the value that you bring. Now, whether that's in a relationship, in your work, in the things that you are investing time, the places that you're showing up, but it hits you. That's why I'm saying like May is like this aha breakthrough, right? And there's several key dates I want you to pay attention to. The 17th, the 24th, the 29th, right? These are sort of breakthrough days, and the conversations or even the realizations that you have are going to make impact in a really significant way for you, because it's going to help to support the strategy or the plans that you've put into motion, right? Now, Mercury shifts into your sign on the 10th, again, supportive of how you are communicating your truth. I feel like you're in a more balanced place than you have been for some time, okay? You're definitely looking and considering the environment, the foundations of your life, perhaps your home, your place of work. You know, there might be some changes coming in. You might realize that actually where you are is no longer supporting growth, or there's an adjustment that needs to happen, particularly on your work and career, by the way. But it certainly seems to me that there's also some celebration that can come through as a result of the choices and decisions that you make. And I want to remind you of this phrase for May, Taurus: if you don't ask, you don't get. Okay? So, you know, in your perfectly unique, direct style, please just be upfront in really going for it, because I think you're going to surprise yourself in terms of what can unfold and what can happen. Now, let's call in this full moon in Scorpio arriving on the 12th in your 7th house of relationships. It does have some tenseness activating it, and it's already an intense energy. We're diving deep and we're unafraid to explore everything that is necessary to get to the heart and the root. But it's also a deeply transformative time, especially for you in your one-on-one relationships. So there's going to be a lot of considerations that are going to be talked about and discussed, and it feels like you're bringing in an emotional bravery and almost an ability to sort of have this kind of sacred communication that helps to hold space for you to have probably, you know, some of the most uncomfortable conversations that you may have had to have for some time. But you will, and the outcome of that is really refreshing. It feels like, you know, even if it doesn't necessarily give an answer or an outcome that's palatable to everybody, it just addresses things. And I think that's what's most important. It just needs to be addressed. This is not about passive aggressive or, you know, keeping it under the surface. It's about let's bring it out into the open. And I think with Mercury kind of supporting you, and by the way, Mercury has a big month this month, right? Later on into Gemini season, it's going to be incredibly busy supporting you in terms of how you are communicating and the type of conversations that are here to support this very driven, dynamic energy that's unfolding. So that full moon is slightly uncomfortable but necessary, and actually ends up leaving you in a better place than you have been, okay? On the 16th, Ceres, the asteroid goddess, shifts into Aries. If you want to know where your goddess placements are in relation to your natal chart, check out my report over on the website, okay? Ceres in Aries is really helping you to evolve and again claim your power and sort of bring in this sort of lasting sovereignty to the situation. The Hermit is talking about this wisdom. I'm telling you, you have grown so wise. So this unapologetic need to now put into action what it is that you know, what your truth is, may initially feel a bit audacious, but then will simply become the norm for you. You will adopt this new version of self, and that is the whole point of your solar returns, right? Now, as I said, stepping back from someone or something, so there could be some quietness coming around, or you may feel that someone had already distanced themselves from you. But I think what that distance does is it gives perspective. And I think that's incredibly important for you this month, because as you are reprioritizing things, right, you need to figure out the degree to which something was taking up time, energy, finances, whatever it was asking of you, and sort of where you now stand in relation to that, okay? Now, I think there can be a combative energy through the month of May, but there's also this feeling that actually there's so many breakthroughs that sometimes we have the friction and then it clears the air. We have the friction, it clears the air. And that's kind of the vibe and the sort of the way that I see things being able to move forward for you. And that as an approach will actually help to clear the way. The other thing it does is ensure that you're not storing that energy, suppressing it, and it's not becoming then, trauma resistant and, not allowing you to speak up and be you, because The worst thing that could happen through the course, of this solar returns is that you recognize how much you've changed, and yet you don't give yourself permission to bring those changes into your life through your expression, through your relationships, through the way that you show up in the world. Because then something is going to feel so out of kilter, because the disconnect will be felt so viscerally by you. It will be problematic. So keep that in mind. Now, we've got our Queen of Wands, center of the reading. You're kind of on fire this month with regards to something. You actually have a tremendous insight in terms of what's going to work. Okay, so whatever it is that you are considering or trying to put some energy towards, really trust in your instincts, because you're on to something. Perhaps you're just picking up the nuances in a way that other people are not being able to quite grasp yet. You're a little bit ahead of the curve with regards to something. The problem is that sometimes, you'll want to align so many things before you take the action that somebody can pip you to the post. But actually, you've come to the conclusion before most people. And if you can then direct and harness that, and we have a lot of this fire energy supporting and sort of driving things through, that is going to give you a major breakthrough. And we have got growth happening very quickly. And the thing I want to say about what's coming through is there's this real elevated perspective. She's sitting high in the tree, they're standing up high on the house, high on the lighthouse. You see how the sunflower is growing exponentially here. So there's something about being able to rise above situations that's going to really serve you through the month of May. And remember, if there are some power struggles and things that you're having to confront from the past, it's going to be important to adopt that maturity and that discernment. But there's also this elevation energy that's coming in really beautifully for you in the month of May, and that's really helping you to get clarity in terms of what it is that you really need and what you are really striving for at this moment in time. Okay, it brings a real healthy dose of realism, but at the same time brings in the magic. It's this sort of holding space for some of the alchemy to kind of come on board as well. But you have that leveled, grounded attitude, right? I think that you're also set to be in and around some people that are super inspiring for you, and maybe help you to see that actually something is so much more possible than you ever believed it would be or could be. You'd maybe discounted it. Like I said, you'd never even bothered knocking on the door, never mind thinking you were going to get a rejection. It was like, there's not even any point in going there. All of a sudden, you seem to come into contact with somebody or hear something or witness something that makes you rethink that completely. Look at it from a new perspective, says the Hanged Man, right? When you turn it around, all of a sudden it reveals something to you. See how the zip is pulling down? You're seeing that clear blue sky. It's bringing truth and clarity. Now, yes, there's a sacrifice. There's almost a spiritual surrender that has to happen here. Remember, we're not about forcing things, but you're going to have to try and balance, because there's a big need to drive something through in the month of May, right? And so we don't want to bulldoze. And maybe you'll at times feel like the universe is sort of pinning you in place, or there's some things that are just not quite aligning. It could be like everything is sort of geared up for something, and then there's one thing that just won't get on board. It won't sort of come together for you. Please don't get frustrated, right? That thing, whatever it is being sort of divinely orchestrated to actually hold back. And the reason I think that that's unfolding is because you're just getting yourself into more of a balance and more of a mental attitude to kind of really be prepared actually for what this means for you, not just in the here and the now, but actually moving forward. Okay, and remember, as I said, there could be this need to step back from something before something else can really take hold and drive forward. So there could just be a bit of a lag energy that comes around, but don't worry, there's this overall feeling that May delivers in spades around something feeling really driven, really dynamic, and so many breakthroughs that actually I think you'll kind of welcome that experience. It also helps you to tap into your spiritual self and actually receive the downloads with more of a sense of trust than you ever have before. It's like the signs are so irrefutable, you're like, oh come on, like this is like becoming ridiculous now. It's so clear, it's so obvious. Even people around you will remark, well, you can't ignore that sign, can you, Taurus? So there's that sense coming through for you, okay? So no need for frustration. So please, again, keep that in your mind. Now, as we make our way towards the 20th, the sun coming into Gemini, and, you know, we have almost like this, it's like a hurry of activity, you know, it's just, there's like a lot happens really quickly over the course of 2 or 3 days, that you'll find in that sort of last 10-11 days of May. It's quite remarkable, actually. You're going to wonder, like, you know, did that just happen, you know, or where did that energy come from? So, you know, a lot is set to unfold. There's an excitement, actually. There's a bit of restlessness and maybe even some nervousness around, you know, what is unfolding, what is happening. But at the same time, you know, you're getting such strong indications that this is what you're supposed to do, that this is what is right for you, that you cannot ignore it, okay? You're set to see some sharp growth in regards to something that you have invested in. You definitely have some good news, but it could be slightly delayed. And when it comes in, it's almost like 2 or 3 things happen at the same time, and it really lifts you, okay? And even if you just have that high temporarily for a couple of days, it's enough to really I think give you some validation and reassurance that you're on the right track with regards something, okay? Now the 24th, let's call it out, because we've got Mercury aligning with Uranus for this breakthrough moment. We've got the Sun trining with Pluto, and then Saturn shifting into Aries. So a big energy day, right? And you got to pay attention to what's coming up and coming through for you. It's very focused, but again, there's this sort of restless quality. You might need to just make sure you're harnessing your energy in the right way if you're kind of feeling a little bit ungrounded with it. We build to the new moon in Gemini on the 26th, right? Now, at this time, please don't take it personally. That's the message that comes through really strongly for you, okay? You're just going to want to be holding space for somebody to change their opinion, or to come back with a different attitude, and the conversation will change, okay? It's a mutable energy. It's almost like, don't necessarily take the first thing that comes along, and don't take it personally, and don't just kind of absorb it and take it on. But as much as you can, stand in your truth and use that wisdom, because you'll be able to direct the energy of the day in a really significant way. You'll also feel like you can take something else on. And that's quite exciting, because it feels like you've never had the bandwidth to be able to do that up to this point. And all of a sudden, because of the shifts and changes that have happened, because of the actions you've taken, now you've put yourself in a prime position to be able to say yes to something, okay? Remember the dates that I gave you, the 17th, the 24th, and the 29th, right? These are breakthrough days, okay? So again, pay attention to what's surfacing around this time. It's a powerful month for you. Okay, you got to be bold and audacious. You got to remember that if you're stepping back from something, there's a bigger reason and purpose. And the more you can stabilize your inner world, the less affected you're going to be by these constant waves that keep coming. Don't let the combative energy make you feel like you're not part of the conversation, right? Show up and be direct, and it will clear and resolve the friction and open up your pathways. I'm just going to go ahead and clarify these cards for you, Taurus. So if you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards we look at in the extended reading. I don't do reversals. So you'll find the link for that in the comment and the description box underneath, okay? Talk for another 25 minutes. We'll look at a personal and a relationship card for you. I hope you'll join me. So 8 of Swords, 3 of Wands. What do we have with the 7 of Pentacles? The World. Yes, nice opportunities coming through for you. There's a timing aspect to this with Temperance and the Hanged Man, yeah? If you're new to the channel, or if you're a regular, and thank you for your loyalty, I really appreciate you, please check out my website, all right? These sacred titles that I've created, beautiful products filled with love, infused with amazing imagery and insight, my oracle deck, my journal, and my book. You're also going to find my Sacred Soul Support Library, guided meditations. You're going to find ways to work with me. So if you want to have a personal reading, I offer pre-recorded and the opportunity to connect with me on Zoom one-to-one. All of that is over on romywiser.com. Yeah. Okay. I like that justice coming through, especially with the second energy of strength, you know. Something is coming in the karmically right way for you, okay? Remember, second house energy in Gemini season is about you knowing your innate value, bringing that to the table, and change created as a result of that shift. Okay, so we're looking at Life Soul Vision Oracle now, my own deck. We've got Casting Out Constellations. This is the way, this is the work. Sacred Soul Union. We've got the New Moon, Deliberate Intention. Mirrors of the Mind. We've got Cosmic Rebellion and the Collective Heart. Remember, Pluto retrograde, you got to figure out how to do it and do it your way as you resolve the power struggles that exist from the past, both with yourself and others. Okay, we're just going to look at an astrology card now for you. Oh, nice. We've got the sun in your solar returns. Couldn't be more perfect. Self-express and embody truth. Just coming in to give further support and strength for this month ahead. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you. Have a beautiful month of May, and I hope you'll join me on the extended. And I'm going to see you again next time. Bye.